If you are not using the tools that you have right now to the best of your abilities, then the tools that come out in the future will do you no good. Stick around. Let's discuss.
Step on up, grab a chair, take a load off your feet. There's whiskey on the table and stories to repeat. We're talking about the hustle, the grind, and what we'll find in the heart of second chances where treasures bind.
Welcome everyone to the video. Welcome to the channel. It's been a busy morning already for me. I have first, thank you for watching. Thank you for clicking on the video. Please like the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, comment down below. This is the Poor Reseller's Almanac podcast, which comes out every Saturday, sometimes early, sometimes later. But I have I'm still waiting for I was trying to, the gardeners will be here soon, and they have a lot of equipment that makes a lot of noise. So I didn't want to film during while they were doing that, but they haven't arrived yet. So I'm hoping I definitely will have to pause the video really quick because also I have a Facebook Marketplace meetup coming up here shortly. It's for a Zuka bag. So they'll hopefully be coming and picking that up. And I think I listed it for $80. So I got $80. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I could probably report right back as soon as it happens. But it should happen sometime soon. I got my phone. My phone's right here. And then we've already been to Goodwill this morning, so that was cool. Found some cool items. And we got some silverware. So the brand is on the silverware. If you look at it, it looks like towel with an E at the end, or the E's like misplaced, and but it's actually toll is how you pronounce it. And it goes for great money. The silverware, the flatware, whatever you want to call it, goes for an incredible amount of money. So that's pretty cool. And we should get a lot of listings out of just one bag of silverware. I've talked about this in my thrifting video. Bags of silverware. You can get so many listings out of one bag, and you can make a whole set. You can sell them individually. You could sell you could do like 4 forks. Maybe you have 8 forks in the whole thing. You do a set of 4. Break it up into two. Into 2 separate, not listings, but you would if they're the same forks, then you would just do update the quantity. You could do like just in one place for a set, like a dinner fork, a salad fork, spoon, and a dinner knife. You could do like a set of that, and so there's so many ways to list flatware or silverware. So it's pretty cool. And like I said, you can get a lot of listings out of it. You just gotta look for the right brand names. IKEA is one that consistently sells all the time. And then Oneida is another brand that consistently sells all the time. And then some other higher end brands like Toll or like Fortessa doing incredibly well. So keep your eye out. Oregon Spirit, tiny bottle. I had this in my cupboard. I know I had a it's gone. It probably got drank. I drank it all is probably the proper sentence I should be using. But I had the whiskey. I'm sorry. It's all whiskey. I had the wheat variant of this, which was really good. And this is the rye. I have a small, tiny rye so in my cupboard. So I'm like, hey, look at that little bonus there. So I'll drink it. I didn't go to the Total Wine, or I said I was going to pick up a bottle of the Hudson, but I didn't. I didn't go to Total Wine this week at all. It's a little bit. The problem is it's right off the freeway. So as soon as you get off the freeway, you got to quickly turn into it. And I always just jam right past it because I'm going to Goodwill, I'm going to Savers, I'm going further down the road. And so I don't really I'm not like, stop right there. It's not like, if it's not a routine, then I don't remember. I'm always, oh man, I passed it. I was supposed to stop there and I don't. So, but I'll stop there probably for next week to make sure there's leftover spirits in there. Make sure everyone's set out. But hey, check out my watch. Yeah, I think I've talked about in one of my videos, I'm moving away from smartwatch more, I guess fashion, I guess. Well, but still be able to tell time. It's actually a Star Trek. The Enterprise is going around it. And I got a cool, it came with a leather band, but I don't know. I'm just not used to wearing a leather band. I was trying to wear it with a leather band. I just didn't like it. So I ordered a nice, cool, I think the red matches really well, a red band for it. So that's really cool. I'm not gonna pour this whole thing because this whole thing's a lot. These are usually like two. I can get like two glasses out of one of these little dudes. That's good enough. And this is a rye, so they make different expressions. I don't know if they have like a bourbon. I'll have to double check. Pretty sure they do. But okay, Oregon Spirit. This is a rye, straight American, 90 proof. So we got 45% alcohol on that. Anything else on here? And okay, well, let's jump right into it. I think this is I think they won a lot of awards. This company or this distillery, I know that they always have a bunch of rewards that they've won on their labels. Not on this one, but on their labels for their different whiskeys. So they do a good job, apparently. Let's try the rye. Smells like a rye. Smells fruity. Smells fruity, peppery. You can get the peppery spice in there, like just like a normal, American whiskey rye. A little flat when you first taste it. Oh yeah, there's the ooh. Okay. There is definitely like let me get another sip of that really quick. Hold on. It's not really hot. It just, I mean, it's hot because it's alcohol, because it's a spirit, but it's not. It burns, yes, but it's not very intense. I guess is the right word. There's wood in there. Oh yeah, that's a good. There's a good woody. There's a fruit there. There's a fruitiness to it. I can't put my finger on. There's like that's really good. Like cream soda. Cream soda. The first thing that's coming to my mind, cream soda. Oh yeah, that's really really good. I'm already a fan of Oregon Spirit. But all the different expressions I've tried, it's really really good. I got this because I didn't buy the rye. I think I was probably spending too much money at that time already on whiskey. So I was like, I'm not gonna buy a whole bottle. I'll just get the little sampler. Which last time I was at Total Wine, they didn't have too many of those. So um those are nice to be able to, to try an expression and not have to commit to a whole bottle. Oh yeah, that is a good rye. Very good rye. Cream soda. That's what comes to my head right now. Cream soda. Yeah, cream soda, wood, just pine. Oh man, that is a great, uh, maybe one great, one great whiskey there. Okay, so I was at the bins this week, and one of the topics is just being aware of your surroundings, being constantly having your eyes gotta be constantly focused. There's a lot going on, especially at the bins, especially at Goodwills, wherever we're at the flea market. There's always a lot going on that can, take away your focus, that can distract you, and which is fine. It's not like, it's okay. I mean, it's okay to get distracted. It's not like, there's always gonna be things there that you can find. You might get distracted and miss something, but then you might find something a couple aisles down and maybe in a Goodwill or in a flea market. You might miss something in a Goodwill bins rotation. But, um, but you definitely want to be as, aware and as, keep your eyes going. Just keep constantly like looking at everything, monitoring everything. This will kind of lead into a little bit to AI. Um, but constantly just, inspecting everything and watching and constantly learning about different things, what things look like. So at the bins, there's a lot of media bros. I've talked about this before. They go after the movies, they go after the video games, they go after, I see them there. Like they go after, they kind of go a little after everything, but they really, really attack the media section. And a lot of them there are video game people. They go after the video game stuff. They pull all the video game stuff right away, instantly. Then they start throwing it back when it's determined, it's not very good. However, I was a little bit in shock. I went to the bins. Actually, I went to the bins twice, and this week. And one day I found Nintendo DS XL, DSi XL. I found it was just sitting there on the bin. It was right when they came out, and it was just it's kind of like a speed thing. Everybody's just kind of like moving stuff, shifting, trying to see what's there. Grab, 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 grab. Look it up later. And so it happened very fast, and I saw it. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Well, yesterday was Friday, and I went to the bins again. So that was the second day I went to the bins this week. And check this out. This is what I pulled. There's a reflection of me. Look at me. So this is a Wii. So it's a Nintendo Wii U. So this is the one that came out, if I know my history right before the Nintendo Switch came out. And not only that, but this is you can kind of, what this little, no, wrong side. This guy right here, this hawk or eagle kind of gives it away. I really don't know what it is because I don't really pay attention to Zelda that much. I remember playing the gold cartridge, back in the day, but after that, it wasn't really my thing. But I know that, and I know, oh, it's Zelda. So I picked it up, and sure enough, it's the Zelda edition, special edition, limited edition, I guess. And they only make so many of these. And this is how I saw it, though. So I'm scanning the bins, right? And the bins are coming out, and I'm waiting with everybody else, and we're waiting to go to start, picking stuff up. And right in front of me, I look in, I don't really see too much. And I'm looking for what I typically pick up: keyboards and, mice, maybe a computer or something like that. And I see some cameras, internet camera, IP cameras or internet protocol cameras. They are Arlos. They're not the wireless variant, but they are still good. They go for about $20 to $40, somewhere in that range, if I remember correctly. And I saw one there, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'll pick that up for sure. And then there was something else I think I picked up as well too, but I'm not really sure. But either way, so I grabbed those two things. I'm looking, and they weren't too full. Like the bins weren't, just packed full of things. The electronic bin, that is, it was not. They weren't packed full of stuff. So I'm like, okay, it doesn't really look very good. Oh well. So I'll start wherever the first bin they roll in front of me. That's where I start. And I start to move, either to the left or to the right. And so at this moment, I started moving to the left, going through the rest of the bin, then moving on to the next bin. And then I'm looking at the bin. And then at this point, everybody's already peeled off all the stuff, all the good stuff, basically, all the stuff on the surface. And so at that point, usually at that point, it's like, okay, now everybody starts going away, looking stuff up, and they think they got the best stuff already, and then they move on. And that's why you got to dig. You got to keep digging. You got to keep digging, keep looking. However, as I moved down to the next bin on the end, I think I was in the middle bin, and then I moved down to the bin on the end. So it was just a bin over, but the bins are pretty long. And all I saw was this black. I'm looking, and mind you, there's already been maybe 5, 6, 7 people already that have gone through that bin and moved on. So, and these are people that actively pick up video game stuff. There was all kinds of video game stuff in this bin. And a lot of it was not picked up. A lot of it was controllers. Some of them were missing the backs, and a lot of cables, some off-brand stuff as well too. So a lot of stuff was left behind. I picked up the stuff that was actually branded, but this was sitting on the bottom of the bin, just like this right here. So it was sitting like that. And as I'm scanning through everything, I'm trying to be as thorough as possible. I'm scanning. I'm looking up and down in the bin. When I turn like this, my ears get cut off. It's kind of throwing me off here. So I'm scanned. So my eyes are scanned. My hands are going up and down, up and down, up and down, and moving slowly in this direction. And I come across this guy, or I see this on the back, and I automatically see the mold through the mold of this plastic. And I'm like, okay, I see that it has like, a handle, and I see it has triggers. So the first thing that popped in my mind was maybe it's some sort of a Bluetooth controller for a phone, something you would put your phone into and you'd be able to play the game like this. I didn't see any initial, I saw this, but that didn't really mean anything to me. But then as I got closer, I started to see, and I'm looking up and down at all these bins, and I'm getting closer, and I see the Nintendo sign on it, and I'm like, what? And so then I pick it up. So I go to pick it up, and then after I pick it up, I realize what it is. I'm not an expert in console gaming. I've talked about this before. I'm not really a console. I was I was a PC gamer. PC gamer. The only consoles I ever bought. I mean, well, I didn't buy the original Nintendo. It was purchased for me by my parents, along with the Genesis. And the next console after that was the Xbox 360 because I wanted to play the Star Wars game, and that was it. So I never played. I've never owned a Wii. I've never owned a Wii U. I've never, other than Nintendo, the only other one I've had is the original NES. And so, but I am familiar with this. I have seen it before. I have picked them up before. I have purchased them before. And so when I picked it up, immediately I was like, oh, I know what this is. And so I'm just thinking here, it's just a normal Wii U. But then when I try it over, I see the rest of it, and I'm like, what the heck? So and everybody else passed this up, like the people that all went ooh and ah when I found the Nintendo DS, and they all went over that bit, and they didn't pick this up. So which led me to believe first, I was like, wait, is it not real? Is it not? But I looked it all up. I looked at the comparables. I'm going to use the full word comparables on eBay, and I was like, it is the thing. It is a Wii U. What did it sell for? Mind you, I got this at a Ben's price. So this doesn't weigh that much, maybe $3 at the most. Grand total though at the bins yesterday was $51, and I think it was 23 cents at the bin. So, this will put me right into the profit and right away, instantly. As soon as this sells, instantly in the profit. And it's Nintendo, so it's very, very popular. And, be vigilant. Just, have a sort of a routine. Like a lot of people I see there at the bins, they just go straight to the top and then just throw everything in their cart, and that's it. And then they move on. Throw everything in the cart, move on. They shift things around, yes, but they're not really paying attention to what's under there. They're not really paying attention to everything else. They're just quickly, and perhaps if this would flip up, I mean, I'm pretty sure if this was flipped like this, boom, they would have found it. Somebody would have found it like that instantly if it was like that, because the bin wasn't even completely filled up. The bin was not filled up at all. This was laying there in plain sight. It wasn't like this. It was like this. So it was just a flat, matte black. The only sign is the Nintendo, but I didn't see the Nintendo sign until I got really close to it. But there were people that were there. They were there close to it. They were on top of it, and no one picked it up, and no one snatched it up. It was just sitting there the whole time. So I did. I picked it up. Yeah, the person that's not really looking for gaming stuff. I just gotta keep an eye on my phone because I just need to, like I said, I gotta keep an eye on my messenger here. So you gotta open your eyes. You gotta be familiar with a lot of these things. It takes time. It's not easy. You're gonna miss out on a lot of stuff. You might even pick up items that are not very good from time to time. I pick it up, I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, if it was one of those Bluetooth just things you put your phone into, that wouldn't have been very good at all. But at least I picked it up and took the time to investigate it and the time to actually be like, you know what? The back, I just didn't look over and be like, that's nothing. Move on. Picked it up. I looked at it. What do I say? Like when I'm thrifty, I don't always look in boxes, but I'll always say, look inside the box, check the box. You never know. Well, I find some crazy items sometimes in just empty boxes that appear to just be empty with no tag. Okay, I'm going to cut it here and I'll be back after all the noise is gone. Okay, the deals are done. The gardening's done. Zuka is gone. So for the Zuka, I spent it was $15 and some change. This is like $16 for the Zuka. And I generally like to move those locally just because I know they sell locally here. I typically don't do too much as far as local sales go, just because you gotta have the right items in our area. And the Zuka is the right item. People buy them all. Every time I find one, I sell it on Marketplace. Easy, no shipping involved, no fee, nothing like that. So if you don't like fees, try selling locally. Or if you're getting upset with all the raising fees or raising costs of everything, try to sell locally. Obviously, I'm not going to get the reach that something like an eBay would, and then you would have to pay fees to have the ability to utilize that reach that they have. So, but either way, so just being more aware of your surroundings, aware what to brand, and in my, as a reseller, I need to be. My surroundings are thrift stores, and I'm looking at items and flea markets. So you just gotta be aware of all this. You gotta be scanning stuff. You gotta be you first. We're all talking about these new tools that are gonna be coming down the pipe. Everyone's talking about all the latest tools coming down the pipe, right? There's new tools coming around. It's gonna revolutionize reselling. We're entering a new age. Everything you learned before is over, is gone. And a lot of these people are just, a lot of people are crying wolf, right? Yes, I mean there are going to be tools that will help you to improve. It's like I always I always look back to my snowboarding years, and so it's like snowboarding, and it's like probably it's like everything out there. When you're first starting out, you don't need the best tools in the world. You don't need the best, of anything. You just got to get out there and start doing it, right? But then once you start to get more advanced, once you start to get more, you start riding like for snowboarding. Once you start riding those, those you get up to the more advanced levels as far as the mountain goes, and you want to go faster. You want to do more tricks. You want to, whatever your goal is. You're going to need to get more specialized equipment. You're going to need to be more specialized. So a lot of the tools that are coming down the pipe, yes, they're great. But in the beginning, they're not going to be so helpful because you gotta have the basics down first. The first two tools, probably two tools, probably a few other tools in there. You gotta perfect the tools that you have right at your fingertips, mind you. Your fingers, your hands, your eye. Your eyes are probably the first one. Where you're trying to identify items. You gotta get good at using your own vision, your own eyes. Then you gotta be able to pick stuff up and feel quality. Hearing, it might work. It might be something that you need. Probably. You probably need hearing. Smell. They gotta smell this. If you're picking stuff up and it stinks, you gotta be able to smell it to tell if it stinks, if a cigarette in it or anything like that. So you gotta get good at the basics before these advanced tools that are here and or coming out down the future. Before those can really, really take you to the next level. When I was snowboarding, yeah. When I recommend people, when people are first starting out, go rent a snowboard. Don't show up with the latest gear and all that. It's not gonna do you any good. As a matter of fact, it's probably gonna hurt you in the beginning. I see so many people when I used to snowboard, I used to be a snowboarder. I would see so many people show up with the latest like Burton boards, all the latest bindings and everything. And you know what happens? They jump on that board. They're like, all right, I'm ready to go. I got all the latest gear and everything. Let's go. Let's go. And the first thing they jump on it, the board goes right out from under them, and they just can't get their footing. They can't get their I guess it's footing. They can't get, they can't even get started because the board is just it's a very high performance board, and it's not meant for beginners. It's not meant for those people who are just starting. Those are tools for more advanced people. Same thing applies here. These tools are great. They are going to help a lot of people, but if you don't have the basics down, then, there's no point to going to the more advanced side of things. Um, so you got to have the basics down. And as far as vision goes, so a Google image is becoming amazing. It is a pretty amazing tool. But if you don't know what to Google image, what good is it? what good is it? What if you don't have the items to plug into ChatGPT to give you, all the details of your listing, what good is it? If you don't have, if you haven't identified an item that's good enough to even put through the process, then what's the point of having all those tools at your disposal? Kind of useless, right? So, getting good at the basics. Yes, they're AI, and my feelings on AI. I don't really care to call it. I call it AI because that's what everybody, like the general consensus. I briefly I touched on this when I talked about sell through rate. Now, just the consensus. Everybody's kind of just calling it what it is when it's not true, the true definition of it. But then now they're starting to you know, what we have now they're calling now experts are starting to change their mind and trying to call it AI, even though technically it's not AI. We have AI, AGI, and then what was it? ASI, I think was the next level after that. So they're just changing the definition. But either way, so I'll call it AI. I don't want to go down on a tangent on that. But, you know, Google Image is becoming an amazing tool to use out there in the field. We got to first be able to identify, an item that we want to scan. And, then you scan it and it tells you exactly what it is. It's so amazing. Most of the time, not all the time, most of the time. Now, I've been playing around with, just taking a picture of something, throw it. I prefer ChatGPT as far as AI goes. I prefer ChatGPT. It's just, I don't know. I don't like the interface. I like the data it's giving me. I've tested out Gronk. I've tested out Gemini. Those are the only other two I've tested out, and they're not really. I don't think they're as good. Personally, I don't think they're as good. I like the information I get from ChatGPT. Now, I've been playing around with taking pictures of things and trying to identify what's valuable, what's not valuable. And so far, there's still a lot of learning to go. There's still a lot of learning there. But just like anything, just like there's still a lot of learning. You got to feed more data into it. Got to feed more data into yourself. And the tool will only get better. It's only going to get better from here. The more information that it keeps getting fed, it keeps learning, just like us. It keeps learning, so it's getting better and better. And where I think it really, really shines right now at this point is Google Image, which is using AI, of course, at identifying an item. If you're kind of, you're feeling, you got an item there, you're like, I know this is a great quality item, it's a great filling glass. It's got all the characteristics that make it something good. And then you go and Google Image it. This is clear glass. It's how Google Image will be able to pick up who actually made this. Pretty generic. You still got to have some identifiers on it. But let's just say, for the sake of the argument, you Google Image it and it tells you, what it is at that point. Then going into ChatGPT to help get you descriptions, like descriptive words, like what it is, like the style. Hold on. My nose just started getting itchy all of a sudden. Now, after the gardeners had left, that stuff, it just goes everywhere. So I have to deal with it. But ChatGPT, and one thing I use it for, quite a bit actually. I've been using it more often, more and more. I've been using it is trying to identify the style, because sometimes it's not 100% clear exactly what the style is. Or it could be like two different styles, and you're like, it's just kind of like clashing with each other. And like, like what should I, or something, it's just a blank glass. I'm like, what should I, use to describe this? What kind of style is it? What should I do? That's why I'll use ChatGPT. I'll take a picture of it and then put it in ChatGPT, and it gives me some great descriptive words for items. It's amazing. So, utilizing these tools is going to be essential utilizing any tool. I mean, at every point in human history, there have been tools that have come around to help our lives, and hopefully for the better, Um, and there are people that will resist using these tools. They're like, I've always done it this way, and this is the only way, and they may eventually, they may be successful for a little bit, but eventually they will, they won't be able to catch up. They may fail. And the people that will find more success are the people that, are able to utilize these tools that are now just being introduced, and they're getting better and better, faster and faster. And I'm pretty sure there's more uses besides reselling, but this is a reselling channel, so that's what we're talking about. It's just like in snowboarding, when you're first starting out, you're using garbage, you're using garbage gear. And, as you start to learn and practice, and you're like, okay, I'm you'll know when you need to upgrade yourself. You got to upgrade your repertoire. You'll know it, and you'll be like, oh man, I just feel like I'm hitting a ceiling here. And then okay, let me look into something else that can help me, something else that can help expand what I'm trying to do here. And yeah, and then you branch out, you start using all the other tools. So getting good at the basics. I guess the moral of the story is getting good at the basics. Just getting good at using your own eyes to be able to see things, and learning yourself, teaching yourself, and then taking it to the next level with all these tools that are being introduced. AI. Someone's gonna call AI. AI. That's what it is. Um, they're gonna help you. It has all the data. It has all the data on the web there. The huge data centers have all this information. So it knows like it's going to go in. You tell it, make me an eBay title. It's going to find all the words that have worked for that item and put it into a title that will hopefully help you get it sold. Give me a description, like the AI description in eBay. It's going to start pulling, it's going to look at the picture, the title, and it's going to start pulling a description together that has been used to help sell items. So don't resist. Do not resist. So lots of changes coming around to eBay. They have their seller update and everything like that. The ad, I think the other one of the ads. So there's the ad thing, which is not in the US just yet. Where if anybody clicks on the ad, you'll be charged if someone buys it within that 30 days, no matter if they clicked on it or not. That's not in the US. And then there's the one in the US though, that will affect us if you use it, is the pay per click, not the offsite ad, but the one that's on eBay. What do they call it? Priority ads, if I remember correctly. Priority ads, which is a pay per click model. Now, what they're doing is, so it used to be you set a daily target, and it would never, exceed that daily target throughout the day, whatever day, 7 days a week. Then they moved to this budget per week. So you have so if you set your budget at $1 a day, they would take your weekly budget. So $1 a day would be $7. And on any given day, if they deemed that day as a lot of people are on eBay at that time, then they'll start to, use more of that money, that weekly budget on that given day to try to, get your item sold. But they would never exceed, two times your daily budget. So they would hit the $2 mark, and then that would be it. Well, now they're moving to the monthly budget model. So whatever you set per day, it's gonna be, so if you set $1 a day, then you multiply that times 30.4, and that'll be your monthly budget for the day. And so they will take that, that budget, and on, when more people are on eBay, they're going to use that, that budget, but they're not going to exceed. What was it? Hold on. I should have had it up here, but I didn't. Let me see. Priority ad changes. Was it still I think it was it still 2 times? For some reason, I'm thinking, I don't know why, but I'm thinking it said 3 times. Hold on, let me just take a break really quick while I find it. Okay, yeah, it's still up to double. So if you set $1 a day, your budget for the month is gonna be whatever that, it's $1 a day multiplied times 30.4, it's gonna be $30. And $0.40 is what it will be. That'll be your monthly budget. And then they can use up to 2 times your daily target. So if you have $1, they can use up to $2 on any given day up until you hit the 30.4, the $30.40. Then it stops for the month. So the way it's been worked, I personally don't like it. Um, I can't really even however, I could say I don't really like it, but, um, the weekly budget, I don't it hasn't really affected sales at all. It hasn't, like, in my sales didn't neither dropped off nor increased because of that, and so it's kind of the same, and so what was happening was with the weekly budget, so before, I would have, my priority ads would be running every single day. It would start at usually around midnight that day, the day, and then by the time I wake up, it'd be all gone. It'd be all spent. So it just goes to tell you how many people are actively on eBay all the time looking for items. And I have a variety. I sell in well over 20 categories now at this point. I think over 25 categories now at this point. And so there's people in every single one of the categories clicking on items. There's people up looking at stuff. Um, And so the weekly but when they made the change to weekly, what was occurring was, so the beginning of the week, which was Sunday at midnight, it would kick off, it would turn on for the week, and the budget would be gone by Wednesday. So it was hitting that 2 times the daily budget by Wednesday. Technically, Wednesday was only half the budget because that was all that was left, was half the budget, and that would be it for the rest of the week. So there was no more priority ads come, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So 3 days of no priority ads. So I'm kinda eager to see what's gonna happen with the monthly budget. Does it mean, like, what would it mean? I didn't do the math, but either way, it might mean, like, maybe what, last week and a half, maybe there is no priority ads? The budget just gets used up by that point? Yeah, if you're using 2 times, then it'd be done by what, 15 days technically? Let me just quickly, uh, yeah, I mean, it's definitely what it is. If you're using 2 times the budget, then you're ending, half the month. So half the month would be no priority ads. I mean, unless you adjust it, of course. But then again, I didn't really see any major difference. I mean, priority ads gives you a lot of impressions. But those impressions don't necessarily translate into sales. But it's like at stores, shopping. When you go shopping or anything like that, everything that's in the front, all that stuff's getting an impression. You go to Costco right now. What do they have? They have a bunch of shavers and everything in the front. They have what else do they have in front of the store? They always have TVs in the front of the store because TVs are constantly getting impressions, constantly seeing it. Am I buying it? Are people buying TVs all the time at Costco? No. But everybody that walks through the door is seeing the TV, and that TV is getting an impression every single time. So impressions don't necessarily translate to sales, but you're constantly seeing it. And what happens when you constantly see something, just like in ads and commercials, you constantly see it. Eventually, you're like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I might actually need that thing. um, so the priority ads adds a lot of impressions. So, but don't think that all those impressions are going to turn into lots of sales. It really, yeah, it does. It does and it doesn't, I should say, if that makes any sense. Um, okay, we're gonna talk a little, not too much about the economy, but the just to kind of circle, just keep it in the reselling realm or eBay realm really quick. I just wanted to touch quickly on, sell through rate, and I didn't. Yeah, well, I was talking about my method more than anything, and I just kind of said, that's not sell through rate. What they're doing, taking the what sold. What are you doing? You're doing the what sold into what's currently listed. But either way, the way to do it is actually to take the what has sold and confirmed sold, that is, and then you divide that into how many are actually currently listed, plus how many are sold, Plus, there's one more that a lot of people forget about, that people don't think, that people don't think about. Um, those that have completed but have not sold as well too. There's a way to look it up. It's not an easy number to find, but you could look it up, but there's a way to get that number. So you gotta add those three together, and then you take the sold and you divide it into that, multiply times 100, so you get a percentage. And there you go. That's your sell-through rate on those items. But what they're doing, what everybody's calling sell-through rate, what they're looking at, that data is proper, is the thing to do. It is the right thing to do. It's just they don't get the right, it's not the right definition for it. Like I said, it's market research. And so calling it sell-through rate it's just, it's not like the data is right. They're looking at it correctly. They're analyzing it. They're not doing the equation right, but they're analyzing it correctly. Uh, um, but it's not. It just means inexperience is all it is, and it's not. It's nothing wrong. It's not wrong. It's not. It's not. Are they leading people astray? I don't know. I don't think so, because the data is proper. What they're doing is the right thing to do. They're just not calling it the right thing. But I don't know. Do as I say, don't do as I do. Or something to that effect. So it's not wrong, but it's not. It's just inexperience. Is all it is. A lot of people that talk about sell-through rate, they've only started in the last few years. That's it. They've only, they may or may not have worked in retail prior to, or run a retail spot before eBay. So they're just unfamiliar with a lot of the terminology, a lot about, they're unfamiliar with business and the way reselling works, or the way eBay works, or selling online works. They're just unfamiliar with it. And so, they throw around words that they may have heard here and there, and then they just, all right, we'll use those words. It's kind of like one of my old English teachers used to say, like, they're just, with punctuation, they're like, he would always like bring people like papers up. And you're like, so what'd you do? So what'd you decide to do? Just sprinkle punctuation in there every so often? When it was incorrectly used, you'd be like, oh, would you just decide to sprinkle things in there a little bit? And that's what people are doing, sprinkle in these little keywords here and there in their videos and everything. But yeah, but those people that, those that have been around it a long time, and, are familiar with these terms, and are familiar with business, and, familiar with running a reselling business, or just selling online business, I should say, or selling anything business, I should say, are quite familiar with these terms, and quite familiar with the equations that are necessary, and what you should be looking at, what you should be calling things. And, it's just an experience, and, it's not bad. It's not, it's nothing to knock people down for. It's not that. They're learning too. Everybody's still learning, continually learn. Just like I talked about people, AI, everything needs to learn. We all can learn more every single day. So, and that's what I try to do every single day. I'm trying to learn more. I'm using the tools that are in my pocket at my disposal. Right there. They're using my tools. This is a very, very powerful tool. And, we only scratch the surface of what these things can do, right? And by the time, we finally start learning, what the next generation's already out the next year, and then they're more advanced every single year. Which is why I always say about computers, when you're talking about vintage, antique, and the arbitrary 20-year number that some random person decided to call vintage, which, watch out for the vintage police. Computer, that doesn't apply to computers. 10 years is vintage in computer terms. 8 years maybe is vintage, and anything beyond that is antique. And then, 20, 30 years is ancient history. But speaking of ancient history, I want to show you something I got at the bins, because one of my strategies as far as reselling goes is to not, I talked about, the competition, analyzing the competition, doing your market research. I always try to buy items with the least amount of competition, but yet still have a customer base. And here's something right here. And one of your competitors, some of your competitors can be like Target, Walmart. If you're buying those types of items you find there, those are your competitors too. Amazon, I'm trying to avoid all those people. I'm trying to avoid the major players, right? And then, try to deal with just, people like me that are on these platforms selling. But check this out. Mini buys. This is from 1980 83, 1983, sealed in the package. This is the stuff I'm looking for here because there's demand for this stuff. And I'm not competing with Target. I'm not competing with Walmart. I'm not competing with Costco. That'd be a losing battle for me. For me, a losing battle to go up against Target, Walmart, and try to compete at their level with their pricing. I would have to go lower in price. I'd have to, do something to beat them. And the only thing I think of is go lower in price and spend more money in advertising. And well, obviously I would never be able to spend as much as them in advertising. I think many people can. Um, but try to compete in price. You could do that, but then again, you better be buying at the right price as well too. So trying to find items that you can't walk over to a Target, you can't go over to a Walmart, you can't go over to any local store and find it. Try to find those types of items. Yeah, it's hard. It's not easy, especially trying to find them in brand new condition. Typically find them used, but if you can find them brand new, even better. But trying to compete at that, against them with the same types of products, it's a losing battle against these major companies. You try to try to shrink your competition. Try to Ooh, everything just shook here. Is that an earthquake? Oh, that's weird. Hmm. Like I saw the I saw my camera. I don't know if my camera did my camera shake? But it has stabilization, so you wouldn't even see it. You wouldn't even tell. But my microphone shook. That's really weird. My microphone and my screen shook. But typically, I don't. The thing is, I don't typically feel the earthquake. I've been in California my whole life, so I don't ever feel the earthquakes that are around here. When they happen, I usually get the alert on my phone. Like, there was an earthquake. I'm like, oh, I no idea. So when I do feel it, it's like, oh, that's strange. I never feel earthquakes. Um, but either way, that was odd. Okay, sorry about that. That I got caught off guard there. Um, and that took me way out. That took me out of the topic. Okay. What do you call it? The trying to minimize my competition just to other sellers on eBay and not having to compete with other, big name people who can outspend me, who can have better reach than me and all that. So, all right. As far as I have the other notes on my phone here. As far as what's going on in the economy, so yesterday was Friday, and yesterday the jobs report came out, which was good. It was a good report. There was nothing really concerning. Um, I mean, there were some little, some little signs here that, but that, the hiring isn't as good as it could be. But we are going into the summer season, so it's gonna be a little dull come the next few months. Just because we're heading into summer and what does everybody do during summer? They take vacations. Kids are out of school and all that, and so it's gonna get kind of dull here for a little bit. There will be jobs added during the summer, but mostly people that are, kids are out of school, high school or college kids are out of school. So, the job report that comes out, over the course of over the summer, might be reflecting what summer is. So, um, but like I said, a lot of what we should be paying, or what we should be watching out for is August. That's when we'll start to potentially see what's happening with tariffs, although tariffs keep going in and out and they're getting renegotiated, unnegotiated. So, once we get some certainty, I think everything will settle down. I don't think it's as bad as people are saying it is. Nonetheless, I think that prices will go up. Prices go up anyways, but they won't go up because of tariffs. There's no avoiding that fact. No matter what the tariff is, it's gonna increase the price of something. Can we absorb that price? I definitely think, as far as the United States as a whole, can definitely absorb that price. But as far as individuals, it's up to their, individual situation. But as a whole, as a United States, I think they can definitely absorb those increased costs. And we're not seeing it yet. We're not going to see it until August. Now, the Fed is not going to raise rate. The Fed is very much stuck on the numbers. We got the jobs report. It's still a good jobs report. So they're not going to move. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to lower interest rates. They're not, they're not, I should say they're not forward thinking, but they're not going to act on anything that hasn't occurred yet. Basically, they're going according to the number, which is the smart thing to do. The smart thing to do is to look at the numbers and react to the numbers. The hard data is everyone. The new keywords are hard data, soft data. You know, it's like every year there's some new keywords out there that people say, but looking at the hard data, right, is what they're doing, and they're going according to that, which is the smart thing to do. But it's not. It doesn't. Looking several, moves ahead. That was the cliche that, where this isn't checkers, this is chess, because in chess you have to look 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 steps down the road. You have to be constantly thinking of the next, not just the next move, but several moves down the road on the board. Um, and that takes a special skill. And those people that can do that, are people who are, I was gonna say revolutionary, but it's not really revolutionary. People that are, you know, um, incredibly skilled, and, people like, like Jeff Bezos, people like an Elon Musk, people like, Bill Gates, people like, all these big name people like Warren Buffett, all these big name Bill. I'm shooting out big names out there. I'm pretty sure there's plenty others besides the big names. I'm just throwing big names out there. Those are the people that are looking 10 steps down the road, 20 steps down the road. They have this whole plan already out. Whereas, like the Fed, the people at the Fed aren't looking, maybe they're looking one step down the road. That's about it. They aren't looking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps down the road. They're just being smart. But then there's beyond smart. There's the what do you call it? Someone like a better analogy is Steve Jobs. While I'm not an Apple fan, Steve Jobs was a visionary. Visionary, that's the word I'm looking for. You know, he's a visionary, and to be able to go beyond the numbers, is very special. It takes a skill set that not it's very rare. It's a rare skill set to be able to do that. And and the smart thing to do is just look at, like I said, I keep repeating it, but is to look at the numbers and go according to the numbers. So however, by the time the numbers come out that where things look bad, it might be too late. And then we all suffer because of that. So lower interest rates now. I mean, it could be the right thing to do, but the data doesn't say it is. The hard data that's coming out right now says no, don't do it. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. That's all we can do. Sit back, and time is, we're perceiving time to go a lot faster the older we get, and so it's going to come around by the time you know it. Kind of like going to sleep, and then you just lose all that time, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, and it's gone. But the most interesting thing happening right now is the feud between Elon Musk and President Donald Trump. It's again somehow in left field. What the heck? I don't know what happened, and we don't know the details, and perhaps we may never know. But knowing Elon Musk, we probably will know the details. This feud that they're having is the biggest news right now. Maybe it's all a ploy. Maybe it's all just just a way to keep their names in the news still, keep keep themselves relevant. Who knows? But this fight over what do they call it? The big great bill or something to that effect. And I think Musk is concerned. I think Musk's primary concern is blows the government budget, adds to the debt and all that. And whenever anybody talks about, obviously, if you exceed the budget, then it's going to add to your debt, right? Because you're spending more than your budget, basically. So the debt, and when everybody talks about it, when everybody's like, "Oh, we got to get the debt," we're mortgaging the future of our kid or whatever, or our kids are going to pay for it in the future or whatever. And since the beginning of America, since the beginning of us here, uh, it's always been in it. I shouldn't say it has always been. It's only been out of debt once. Once in the entire history of the United States has the United States been out of debt, and that was during Andrew Jackson's presidency. Otherwise, it's been in debt the entire time since the beginning up until Andrew Jackson, and then after that, back to debt again. Why not? Keep it going. Um, has it hurt us? I think we've had some great times. When they keep, I mean, we're the United States. I mean, come on. Whenever people keep talking about it, it's like, then I heard somebody say, yeah, the debt can affect us sometime in the next 50 to, I don't know, 200 years. Gotta be longer than that. Who knows? But the debt keeps going up, then going up, then going up, and going up since the beginning. I don't know. I really, if those people that keep bringing it up, about, the US debt and all that other stuff, it's like, do they not know the history of the United States? And, i- is there something to worry about? I don't. Uh, but a lot of politicians and everybody worry about it. They talk about it and they always bring it up, but it's never fixed. And I doubt at this point, the United States will ever get out of debt. I don't think it'll ever happen, but who knows? Who knows? Like I said, Andrew Jackson did it. Andrew Jackson did it. Um, Maybe there'll be somebody that can come up with the what 30 something, 40 something, close between 30 or 40 trillion dollars somewhere to fix it. But at this point, I think it's business as usual, and we're fine. We are fine. Otherwise, that's the end of the video because I'm starting to ramble on a little bit. And I think I already hit the points I would like to talk about in this video. And thank you for watching. Thank you for clicking on the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the content was helpful. I hope that it was informative. Please let me know in the comments down below. Like the video, thumbs up, subscribe, comment down below.
Hey, you've made it to the end. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video by hitting the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel by hitting my little round icon down below. It really does help us out here. Also, you'll find a couple of selections. You'll see a playlist of videos to watch and my most recent video that I did upload.